What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 143, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about PlayStation has agreed the Call of Duty deal, Game Pass updates, and rest in peace, Xbox Live. But first, got to introduce my co-host, JamPackSam. How are you, my friend?
What's going on, dude? I am doing incredibly well. Had a huge week, but I'm excited to be back to the most important part of the week. We got some Project X Talk action going down, so I'm very happy to be here, man.
Most important part of the week. I don't know. Maybe make sure your
Ah,
fiance doesn't hear that. But
yeah, no, it was a big week. Did get engaged last weekend, which was super cool. So that was a big part of the week. Also went to the Southeast Game Exchange, picked up this Xbox sign that's right here.
Ooh, nice.
So we had a big week of Southeast adventures. But yeah, engaged now. So I
Yeah.
guess not only Kind of Funny's got an engaged one. I guess now that are you engaged? I don't know how many.
No, not engaged. Not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Mm,
Still, we'll see what the future holds.
whoa.
Got a little time. Got a little time.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, but man, I'm super excited about right now and the future, and life is good, man. Life is good.
that's what I like to hear. Life is good. It's 1,000 degrees as usual here in New York. The summer is just 100% humidity. You're just swimming in water when you walk outside. So anyway, congrats, Sam, again. But we're going to get into the show. This is an Xbox podcast. We are on YouTube every Thursday, usually live, but we got some stuff going on this week and next week. I'll be on vacation, and Sam had some stuff going on. So we're rearranging the schedule. But if you are on YouTube, you can catch us on all your audio feeds every Friday morning. While you're over there, make sure to drop us that 5-star review, whether that's Apple, Spotify, boosts us in the algorithm. I've been looking, all right. We're in the top 20 on Spotify now, okay? So we're climbing the charts. Get us up there. Drop that 5-star review. And if you do, you're entered to win the Starfield Premium Digital Edition that gives you the 5-day early access. That's that $100 edition. So if you want that, show me you dropped us a review or subscribe to the YouTube. You can tweet at us at Save Game Media or come join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. If you want to support us further, get early access to Save the Game Media content like the bonus post shows that we're going to be doing right after this, head over to patreon.com/Save the Game Media. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current Patreon supporters. So thank you to Bucky Blue, Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Brianna's wife, Nikolai at Night, Cypher Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, The Snack Network, David Hotright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, and Alpaca Tom. Thank you for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Sam, got the housekeeping out of the way. Let's start like we do each and every week, going around the room and asking one simple question. That question is, what have you been playing, my friend?
Oh, dude. So number one, busy week. Not a ton of time for games. Went out of town, did the engagement thing. So I really just got back to gaming a little bit more this week. And I've been diving into the Call of Duty train with the resurgence of the old school Call of Duties. So specifically played a few rounds of Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 3, both of which are backward compatible. Also mentioning the Southeast Game Exchange. Let's see, it's on this side. I bought an Xbox 360, which is actually, no, it's
Ooh.
over here. Bought an Xbox 360, so I was playing them natively, just the way that God intended. So I've been diving back into some old school Black Ops since the servers are back online and things are feeling really good. And on top of that, I was spending some time last night with the new event in Halo Infinite, the Tenrai 2, I think is what it's called,
Okay.
event that brings some really cool cosmetics and stuff. So those are my two things that I've been spending some time with this week. But I got some big stuff this weekend that's NDA'd. Can't talk about it right now,
Oh.
but playing a very exciting game for me personally this weekend. So I'm excited to share more when I can.
Oh, that is exciting. I have no idea. Genuinely, folks. All right. Sometimes I'll say that, and everyone behind the scenes will know what I'm talking about because of the Save the Game Media. I don't know what Sam is playing. All right. So that is
Whoa.
very exciting. Uh, Black Ops 1, you mentioned, though, one of my favorite Call of Duties from the past. I've been seeing that Call of Duty is blowing up on the Xbox store right now. It's like the top 10 or
Yeah.
something most played games, most bought games on
Yeah.
Xbox. This server fix, man.
It's awesome. I love to see it because, like, for me, I don't want to get too far into it because I want to hear what you've been playing too. But the issue with Call of Duty for me right now is that Modern Warfare 2 is fun, like the new one that's just out
Hmm.
right now. It's fun for the first couple of weeks because it's just they give you the game and it feels like Call of Duty where you pick your attachments and you go at it. 3 months in, 4 months in, now we're coming up on a year into the game. They've added so many little mechanics and tweaked so much and added so much new content that it's hard for me to dive back in and not feel lost. And similar to what's going on with season one with Diablo 4 now,
Mm,
where it just feels kind of impending to get back into it. Everybody's complaining about things I don't understand. So like I don't know if I want to get back into it. So it's fun to go back to old school Call of Duties where you pick your gun, pick your red dot, and you just go at it. And I think that's a part of the pleasure in it.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I don't know if I own any Call of Duties digitally because back then I was a physical disc guy.
Yeah.
I think I owned everyone physically, and then Ghosts was my last Call of Duty. So I haven't bought any since then. So I can't even jump back in. But I think it's awesome to see. I know you might know. Are the lobbies still full of hackers? Because that was a big problem.
I haven't run into any personally. Now,
Okay.
I did not spend a ton of time. I probably have played between both of these games maybe 3 hours in the past week. I didn't hit any issues. I will say, like late in the night, Black Ops 1, probably whenever the server news was first starting to come out, probably hovering between like 500 to 700 people in TDM. So, not a huge influx,
Hmm.
but coming up on like Friday night, now that the news is really out, I'm excited to check it out coming up on the weekend of like, will there be 20,000 people back in the COD lobby like that? Just, I said it on Twitter, nature is healing and it's beautiful. It's so good to see.
That's exciting. I'm glad for everyone being able to play these old games again, getting the servers back up. Microsoft
Ooh.
deal already paying dividends. All right. Speaking of games with low player bases, though, Sam, Crash Team Rumble.
Yeah, I saw you
I'm
were having some matchmaking issues over there.
I'm having it. I'm watching it die in real time, and it's kind of heartbreaking. So I need about 5 to 7 more matches probably to max out my Dingo dial, get that final achievement, which I'm hoping to do tonight at some point. Just knock that out, but it is very depressing to me. Like I log in Sunday, I had a string of like 30 games. Like I played for hours on Sunday, just having great matches. Lobbies were good. Monday, Tuesday, not today. It's a struggle. Like 5 minute match times, getting into lobbies with like two people, like lots of bots. And I'm like, man, I don't know if people just don't play this on the weekdays or the game is seriously dying. Like Toys for Bob is still putting out their mid-patch season update just came out today and like fixed some issues. They introduced a new game mode that was a limited time event. Like they're trying, but for me, I'm just seeing the player base not really populate at this moment.
Yeah, it's on the back burner for me. It's something that like if I see you online and you ping me, like I'll dive onto it. But whenever hop on right now, especially with limited time, Crash Team Rumble, like I booted it up, I just wasn't feeling it right now.
Hmm.
We've said it before. I think you feel the same way. This game needs to go free to play or get thrown into a service or something because you got to eliminate that barrier of entry. Because there's no point in charging somebody $30 to $40 whenever they pay that and then there's 12 people online in 3 weeks. So
Hmm.
they've really got to up those player counts to keep that thing going for sure.
Yeah, I feel that more than ever after today, where I'm sitting there 5 6 minute matchmaking queues, not finding people. I'm like, this needs Game Pass, this needs something, and it needs a ranked mode too, because the teams sometimes you'll just get completely unbalanced squads.
Mm,
Like it'll be me and a bunch of level twos versus a team of hundreds, and I'm just like, this isn't gonna go well, and it doesn't. So they got some work to do. There's been some leaks for season two. Apparently, a ranked mode is coming. New characters, Spyro apparently is coming to the game at some point.
that's cool.
Crash's sidekick. My worry is that it'll be dead long before any of that makes it into the game because they're only halfway through season one and the player base is already gone. So it's rough going. But I'm gonna get that 100%. I'm gonna get that
Nice.
100, just
Yeah, you
like I
got to
did
lock
with
it in.
Nick All Star Brawl before that died. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to lock it in. I'm more concerned about the fact that you called Spyro Crash's sidekick. There's a
Listen,
whole college thesis on that. What's going on
listen.
there?
When was the last Spyro game?
I mean, are you counting the Reignited trilogy or are we talking about new Spyro games?
Either way, Crash has had a remastered trilogy as well. He's had a
Uh,
remastered Nitro Kart. He's had a new game, two new games if you count it. What's Spyro doing? being guest characters in Crash's
Listen,
games.
you can if you go to McDonald's, they can pop out 10 hamburgers in 5 minutes. If you go to a steakhouse, it takes a while to make perfection. So I'm just saying, you got to wait for the Spyro steak to come out of the kitchen. All right, it's coming, but potentially, who knows, maybe.
Like I said, I'm gonna play those Spyro games again when they come to Game Pass. But other than that, I beat Man of Medan last week with over the weekend with the girlfriend. Everyone lived completely different. What happened when I played it originally? We're all gonna wrap up Little Hope soon, which is basically going the same way my original playthrough went. The game's just not very good compared to the other ones, to be honest. It feels like they made this during COVID, and I think
Mm,
they did because it's very much like you walk down a road. That's like the majority of the game. You just walk down a road, get a cutscene, walk down the road, get a cutscene. I'm like, nothing's happening.
yeah.
There's nothing interesting going on here. So that's definitely my least favorite of the Dark Pictures game.
Yeah, well, hey, you grinded it out. You rounded out the final turn. So at least you wrapped up the one that you were on.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get through them. But I bought Sonic Frontiers, Sam. I gave into the peer pressure.
I saw the Discord. You were like, should I dish out $30 for Sonic Frontiers? And you did it. Have you played it? Are you planning
I
on diving
haven't.
into it? Okay.
I'm going to get the 100% for Crash Team Rumble tonight, hopefully, and then I'll start Sonic tomorrow and like play that and probably until Atlas Fallen comes. I think I can beat it before August 10th. That's like a few weeks, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
you
can
should be
wrap that
good.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get back to Sonic Frontiers. Speaking of which, another game I played today, Sonic Prime Dash, the
Ooh.
Netflix game that's on phones. So
Hmm.
it's free with your Netflix subscription. If you like Temple Run and you like some Sonic, it blends those two together really well. Very fun time.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I think I saw your tweet and I was like, I don't know what this is, but
Yeah,
I'm glad you had a good time. You know,
yeah.
this game's can be fun for a little bit.
Yeah, let's get some Sonic action in the next week, and we'll regroup in a week and see how we're both doing.
Yeah, I love Sonic, and I
Yeah,
know Luke over at XEP. He went through a big Sonic resurgence last year, and I
yeah.
loved it. I loved seeing it. I was like, I'm so happy someone else is gonna enjoy Sonic with me. But let's shift gears and get into the jam-packed news we got here. Anyway, story number one. I didn't do the tickers, so we're going off the fly here. Story number one. Rest in peace, Xbox Live. After 20 plus years, Xbox is officially retiring the Xbox Live name. The final subscription, Xbox Live, sorry, Xbox Live Gold is coming to an end and being replaced with the new Xbox Game Pass Core subscription. But fear not, current Xbox Live Gold members will be automatically transferred to the new Core tier on September 14th. The new Core tier will be functioning essentially the same as the Gold tier. Subscribers will get access to online multiplayer and deals and discounts with Games of Gold. Um, Games of Gold, however, the free monthly games is going away. That's being replaced by a catalog of over 25 Game Pass games, which Microsoft says will be expanded upon every so often. The current confirmed titles for the 25 catalog games are Among Us, Dishonored 2, Doom Eternal, Fallout 4, Gears 5, Hellblade, Ori, Psychonauts 2, and more. The pricing will remain the same, however, at $10 per month or $60 per year. So, Sam, I kind of jumbled my words there a little bit, but essentially, Xbox Live Gold is no more. It is now Xbox Game Pass Core. What are your initial thoughts about this transition?
So it's needed a change for a while. We've all known this. The monthly games, especially. I mean, whether they're one to one now, like they were back in the day, or not, whenever that gold graphic comes out and it's like, here are your monthly games with gold
Mhm.
with 39.87 in value and 3,000 gamer score. And I'm like, oh boy, you can't wait to dive into Neopets, whatever the game is that
Yeah.
they give out. So a change has definitely been needed for a while. I think that my takeaway here, and we'll get into a little bit of the structure, or we can talk a bit about the structure in a minute because I'm sure you have some thoughts on that.
Mhm.
It's a move in the right direction and it's a net positive, but it's not as good as it could have been. And I think that maybe they're inching their way towards it, but what are your thoughts initially going into this end of Xbox Live?
Yeah, so obviously, I think people were attached to the term Xbox Live, and I'm sure people will still use the term Xbox Live to talk about like the online service. People tend to just stick in their ways, right? But I think this is a change for the better. I think we've called for a long time. Xbox Live Gold hasn't really served a purpose in the new ecosystem. We've had Game Pass Ultimate, we have Game Pass, PC Game Pass. This one always kind of felt like a remnant of the old Xbox Live Microsoft age that we needed to transition. I think getting rid of Games of Gold, because as you said, the value has just not been there for years at this point, and replacing it with a catalog of 25 Game Pass games, which apparently they'll add more to or maybe rotate out every so often throughout the year. I think that's great. I think that's a great value. It gives people a taste of what Game Pass is about, especially because you can keep like they're not taking anything away. You get to keep all the games you currently claimed for the Games of Gold, but now you get these 25 Game Pass games, right? And you're like, hey, look at this, look at this. So you want to increase your subscription to Ultimate or PC Game Pass or whatever to get the entire 400 plus game catalog. I think that's a good taste. I think it's a good move. I think it's a better value, especially because they're not increasing the price, right? $10 per month. I still think if you're paying per month, you're wasting your money. $60 per year is obviously the much better deal here. Save you $60. But you wanted to talk about the structure, and that's where I was going next, because I think this has brought up a very critical flaw in Microsoft's kind of structure of Game Pass here. So, for those that don't know, so Xbox Game Pass Core will be the base tier. And then right above that, I would say you have Game Pass console and PC Game Pass, right? And both of those give you the Game Pass library. However, the console version doesn't include online multiplayer like the core version does. PC is free for multiplayer. You don't pay anything over there. So when you're looking at that price proposition, you're like, okay, well, that doesn't really make sense, especially because they just raised the price of console Game Pass. And then you have Game Pass Ultimate, which does include everything before, right? You get PC, cloud, EA Play, online multiplayer. That is clearly the biggest deal because it's $17 a month. But this has really highlighted the shortcomings of console Game Pass, in my opinion. What are you feeling here?
I think that on one hand, is it poorly designed or is it intentionally designed this way to push you towards ultimate? I think that's what they're getting at because I'm putting myself in the shoes of like a lot of different people looking at this because core $9.99 a month, you get multiplayer and you get the 25 game catalog of like really good games that people would want to play. Now they're not the newest games like right now again we don't know what else is coming. This is just a handful of the 25 that are going to be announced before the actual launch, but like we don't have the Master Chief collection on here, but we have Halo 5 Guardians. And it's like, well, I mean, I guess that's your Halo checkbox, but you still want to entice people to upgrade to the Ultimate plan or to Game Pass. But then if you were to get console Game Pass, yeah, it comes with hundreds of high quality games on console. But I can't play the multiplayer elements of all of these games that I purchased unless I go ahead and I guess subscribe to Core and or do the better deal and get Ultimate. So unless you are exclusively playing single player offline games, console doesn't really provide the value that it needs to because it's kind of disingenuous to say you've got hundreds of games whenever some of them could be totally online multiplayer, you know?
Mhm.
So I think that the idea of charging for multiplayer little bit archaic. I get the fact that you've got to keep the lights on and keep the servers going and perform that maintenance. But at the same time, I said it on Twitter whenever the announcement came out. Any subscription service in 2023 should include access to your online service. That just makes sense. Like I'm paying you and multiplayer should be baked in. Anything else on that is icing on the cake. So I don't know what the outcome is going to be from this. Like you said, it's a positive move, but it's not as good as it could have been if they had just made that one small little tweak.
Mhm. And I pulled it up for the people on YouTube. You can now see the Game Pass breakdown. So you got core, console, PC, and ultimate. My issue is, so like currently I have ultimate. Well, my brother does, and we game share. So I do PS Plus Premium, he does Game Pass Ultimate, and we share those. So it cuts down on each of us having to pay our own subscriptions. So when we game share, I already don't have access to EA or PC and cloud because it's shared to my Xbox, not my account. I would love, and he would love, a subscription where it doesn't include PC or cloud because he doesn't use either. He doesn't have a good enough PC for it, and he doesn't like playing on his phone or any of those mobile devices. So if there was a tier somewhere that included just the console Game Pass, but online multiplayer because we want to play games together, that is the tier that he would subscribe to. Even if I would say put it the price in the middle here, right? Like you have 11 and 17. Give us, maybe bring it back down, maybe the $14 or $15 tier where you take out the PC and cloud, and then you just have EA Play, the game catalog, and all those other things that are included. I would like to see this become a little more customizable, if anything, even if it, I understand. I think you're dead on. They're pushing people to Ultimate. That is clear as day. They want you to be like, well, if I if I'm going to leave core, I might as well go to Ultimate. I can't imagine many people are just subscribed at the console tier. It doesn't really make much sense to me from where I'm
No.
sitting.
I think the only other solution would be, and they wouldn't do this now, but to have kept Xbox Live as a subscription and then say Xbox Live is $3 a month, and then you
Hmm.
compare it with whatever service you want. I think if they were to introduce something between console and Ultimate, that would immediately take away the majority of Ultimate subscribers because at that point,
You
I
think?
mean, if I think so. I mean, if you're putting in something at like, let's say 13 or 14 bucks versus the 16.99 that you're getting for Ultimate, and you say, hey, you don't get even say PC Game Pass and cloud, that's cool by me. I'm out because I do 95% of my gaming on console.
Hmm.
I would even say if you took out EA Play with that, I would still probably just go with that middle tier. Now, I like EA games, but if I'm
Hmm.
thinking about somebody who doesn't like sports, racing, that kind of thing, then that middle tier would be way more enticing. So, like it would be awesome to see it customized like that. I just don't think that they're going to make that cut because they would rather have that extra 3 or 4 bucks.
Yeah, and especially when you multiply that $3 or $4 by millions of subscribers. One move I think is one thing I think is interesting with this change to now Game Pass Core is, I guarantee you when they report numbers now, you're going to see a massive increase, right? Because they're going to take everyone that was previously listed as being an Xbox Live member, right? It's now going to be added into the Game Pass subscriber number. So that is going to shoot well above probably their target of what, 40, 50 million players, right? Because Xbox Live Gold still had a hefty amount of people in it, right?
Yeah, I think that the number I read was after this merge happens, there are going to be 150 million Game Pass subscribers, which is
Oof.
hilarious. That is such an astronomical number.
Which is not painting the full picture because we were at what, like 30, and now you're 120 million more. Let's go.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works at all. My question to you is how many of those 150 million are going to be somebody's mom's credit card that they used in middle school that just never canceled the subscription and will never
Mm.
use any of this? Because I would wager you're looking at potentially double digit percentages of that
Uh,
entire
that
group.
is, I've heard that's what subscription services actually count on for a lot of it. Like Bree, even in our Discord, was literally saying how she has so many subscriptions that she doesn't use, but she's too chaotic to go and cancel them because she doesn't know where to start. And I'm like, I can't imagine that mindset, but I know there's something like Rocket Money. I hear those ads all the time. We're like, we'll
Yeah.
find your subscriptions and cancel them for you. I'm like, who are these people in the world that don't know what they're subscribed to? And what you're saying, it's gonna be a good amount of people. I wouldn't say not the majority, probably not even a
No.
minority, but like there's gonna be people that haven't canceled or they just forget it. They're like, oh, it's $5 a month we're paying yearly, whatever. Like, who really cares? I'm sure the kids are using it or something like that,
Yeah.
right?
That's what's
Um,
going to happen.
just so I know, like, because people still play on their 360, right?
Yeah,
You
I
just
do.
got to, yeah, you're saying
Yeah.
you just got a 360. When you, so there's no more Xbox Live. Is Game Pass on 360? Like, are there? No.
No,
Okay.
no. So you boot it up and it says like JamPackSam just logged into Xbox Live. Like it is straight out of 2012. Nothing has changed. I don't know how old this one actually was. I had to update it a couple of times to get it up to speed. But that's what I'm going to be interested in is at this point, what I don't know if it's been addressed. I haven't dug into the FAQs yet, but how does this impact 360 players?
Yeah, that was
Because
my thought.
yeah, I mean, I'm waiting to see. I mean, I bought one for $50 last weekend, so like I don't have a lot of skin in the game, but I do know that, like, for example, I know Xbox 360s are used a lot overseas. Like, military people still log into them just because they've got one at the base that's there. For people that are just really into retro gaming, like myself, it's nice to be able to go back and play these things online. So, it's nice to have that bundled into Ultimate. Is that just going to be honored going forward, or more likely, is there going to be some kind of change that acts as 360 multiplayer? I don't know what those player count numbers look like, but conversation that needs to be had for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's something people are really thinking about. Where it's like we're all everyone has a Series X or S, and it's like a lot of people still don't have those consoles. I If you're into modern gaming, I think a Series S is clearly like a no brainer to make that jump, especially if you're on something like a 360. But if you're still hanging on a 360, I'd be interested to know, like, when you log in, is it going to get rid of that Xbox Live? Is it going to say something like Game Pass Core and like confuse maybe not the hardcore that listen to podcasts and keep up with the gaming news, and they're not really going to know like what's changed, what's going on? Because I've seen some confusion. Like, in reality, it is mostly a name change, but people seem very confused by it.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be confusing for the people that, if you're still playing an Xbox 360, I would wager you're not checking Xbox Wire to see what the newest updates are. And so I think the easiest solution would be for them to say, like, online console multiplayer, don't change the name of Live on 360, and you just get honored. Like, it is Xbox Live. We all know it's Xbox Live. Nothing is functionally changing. But it would be cool just to see them say, hey, we're just going to turn a blind eye to all these changes. 360 continues to function as long as you've got core. And then
Mhm.
that also gives people an incentive to say, oh, I have these 25 console games. I might as well get a Series S or whatever and go to town on it. I think that makes
Yeah,
sense.
hop in, play those new experiences, which is it's similar to what PlayStation did with the PS5. You had that PlayStation Plus collection. So someone
Mm,
like me who never had a PlayStation before, like PS5 is my first PlayStation, I hopped in. I had a catalog of games ready to go,
right.
like Ratchet and Clank, Persona 5, all these games. I'm like, I missed all these. Time to download and play some games without costing me any more out of pocket.
Yeah, definitely. It incentivizes people to get on, but even going back to the 360 stuff, whenever I put Black Ops 1 in my Series X, I mean, it just downloads a copy of the game and emulates it. So you can't abandon Xbox
Hmm.
Live if you were already looking at these Call of Duty
That's
games
a good
potentially
point.
coming to Game Pass. And then right now they're the top 5 selling games on Xbox as a platform. Like, you've got to figure out a way to bake that into what's going on now with these changes.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. This is obviously taking effect in September, so you still got some time. Look at what tier you want to be at. If you want to stick with what you got, no problem. But if you want to jump up, the options are there. I showed them on the screen. So, Sam, let's continue talking about Call of Duty because PlayStation has finally signed the deal. They signed the thing. Phil Spencer tweeted on Sunday. Crazy. We never get news on a Sunday. Quote, we're pleased to announce that Microsoft and PlayStation have signed a binding agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation following the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. We look forward to a future where players globally have more chance to play their favorite games. Microsoft has since confirmed to Steven Totillo over at Axios that the deal is for 10 years and only concerns Call of Duty, in contrast to the Nintendo deal as revealed in court documents, which agreed deals for future ABK games in general. The CMA will give their final decision at the end of August. Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have agreed to extend their merger until October 18th for the final date. So they got 3 months to close this thing after approving the FTC, as we talked about last week. But PlayStation finally caved here. Sam, how you feeling?
I mean, we said it last week. I thought about the question we got on the show last week whenever the news came out that they had finally signed the deal. Like, what happens if PlayStation doesn't? Like I said last week, there's no world where they're going to hold out to the very last minute. But again, it's the kid at the birthday party where it's like, do you want to come play with the rest of the kids, or do you want to sit in the corner and cry? And
Hmm.
so on Sunday, Jim Ryan went and played with the rest of the kids. So, he did what he had to do. You're going to lock in that Call of Duty because that's a big revenue generator. We've seen it from Microsoft, we've seen it from Sony. I think that it is very interesting that it doesn't include other ABK games.
Hmm.
Not that we ever thought that it necessarily would, but I think I read somewhere along the way, totally could be wrong, totally could be a rumor, but that the original deal that they were offered did include other ABK games.
Yeah, so in those emails that I might have covered with Ethan before you joined Project XTalk, Phil Spencer's original email was for 7 years, and it offered a plethora of Activision Blizzard games. So it wasn't the 10 years and Call of Duty, but it was, hey, we'll give you everything for 7 years. And now it seems like now that they've got the approval and looks like this thing is wrapping up as soon as they get those CMA cloud concerns. They've gone to PlayStation and it's like Call of Duty for 10 years, and that's really all we're gonna give you, which is not saying every game is off the table, because I'm sure that things like Overwatch and that will continue to get support, and maybe new entries in those live service games where you need those player bases could come to those consoles, like we've seen with like ESO and Fallout 76 and stuff. But I've seen a lot of people like Crash, Spyro, Tony Hawk, like those are all going to go exclusive. And even then, because they have the deals with Nintendo, I'm not too sure about that. I think we need to just treat this as a case by case basis right now until we get some sort of confirmation either way.
I think that's what'll end up happening is I think that people automatically expect if it's just a deal regarding Call of Duty, then anything else is going to be an Xbox exclusive, which is totally possible. I mean, between
Yeah.
PlayStation and Xbox. Obviously, Nintendo's doing their own thing over there. But it could be not on PlayStation, could be just on Xbox. Is that really going to be the case, though? They're going to handle it on a case by case basis, like you said. If it makes more sense to bring a big game like Diablo 5 to not only Xbox but also to PlayStation, or Overwatch 3 or whatever that evolves into, then they're probably going to do it. I mean, Microsoft's in the business to make money, and whether that's through generating Game Pass subscriptions and console sales, or through game sales on every place that can possibly sell games, they'll have to crunch those numbers and figure out where it makes sense. But for Xbox, this is great because they're not locked into anything for 7 years, 10 years, or anything other than Call of Duty for 10.
Hmm.
And that's still going to continue to print money either way.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the camp that I don't think, like we said last week, nothing's going to change in the next few years. All right, you're still going to see multi-platform releases. You're still going to see everything remain status quo. I don't even think Activision Blizzard leadership will change all that much. I think it'll be interesting to see what the Nintendo deal bears out to, because we have things like Crash Team Rumble, which is only on PlayStation 5 and Xbox, like, well, PlayStation and Xbox. Like, it doesn't have a Nintendo Switch version, doesn't have a PC version. And I guarantee you going forward, something like that would probably have a Switch version, would have a PC version, because Xbox wants that to be on PC. They want those day and date on both their major platforms, right? Xbox and PC. But then again, that's a live service game, so it should be on PlayStation, should be getting that player base. Then you see something maybe like the rumored Spyro game that's in development. Like you said, they're going to do a financial analysis and it's like, what consoles does it make sense to release this on? Is just putting it in Game Pass a big enough draw? Will it increase subscriptions? Should we throw this over to Nintendo as well, because it is a family friendly type of game? Get some revenue there. Does it make sense to keep it on PlayStation because it has a long history over there? It's been a mascot, as opposed to people always like to bring up Bethesda. Like, Xbox and Bethesda had a much deeper relationship than Bethesda and PlayStation, right? Like, that's that's
Yeah.
just not a thing. Like, we're not over there like, oh, the Dragonborn is a PlayStation mascot. Like, Spyro is, though. So I I'm interested to see what happens at the end of the day. But I Jim Ryan came, he got his deal at the end. I can't imagine he's very happy about it.
No, I mean it's one of those things where you just got to take the medicine, you keep on ticking, and then you bring back Killzone to dominate later on. That's my strategy.
Never played a Killzone. Never played a Killzone. Never played a what's the other one? Resistance. I
Ooh,
I thought those
wow.
I
Okay.
thought those were the same game for like a long time.
No, they're both just a general shade of gray and orange. No, yeah, no. You story-wise, you're not missing anything with Killzone. Resistance, much better franchise. Resistance is very good.
Mm.
But yeah, Killzone is just like store brand Halo, honestly.
Halo Killer. Halo Killer. Yeah, yeah.
Mm, debatable.
All right, Sam. Story number three. It's our Game Pass update for July. So available right now. The majority of these games actually are available right now. Tectonica for cloud, console, and PC. That's in game preview. Toem for cloud, console, and PC. The Cave for cloud and console. Maquette for console, PC. Figment 2, Creed Valley for cloud, console, PC. The Wandering Village for cloud, console, PC. July 25th, we get Serious Sam, Siberian Mayhem for cloud PC and Xbox Series X and S. July 31st, we get Venba for console and PC. And August 1st, we get the return of Celeste for cloud, console, and PC. Any of these piquing your interest, Sam?
Yeah, definitely. I think that for me, number one, I still need to go back to Exoprimal, so that's going to be on the roster for the next week or so. I have not checked it out yet. Toem, I've heard really good things about, so I want to check that one out. I think it's kind of in the same vein as Viewfinder, that's getting a lot of traction this week. They got really, really good reviews. A little indie kind of, I guess, puzzle game, perspective game. Kind of like Echo Chrome, but Toem is more of that photography stuff where you just wander around and kind of, enjoy the art style more than anything. So definitely want that one. I also mentioned I reviewed Serious Sam Siberian Mayhem when it launched. I played it on PC, but Serious Sam is a good time. If you like Doom and just this mindless, shooting
I
of
do.
random enemies. Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like Doom, where it's just a run and gun good time. I'm excited to see that one come because I want more people to be able to dive in and enjoy that. And having it on Game Pass is definitely going to not only give Serious Sam 4 more recognition, but Siberian Mayhem has a cool little feel to it. And also Celeste is just delicious, fantastic little indie. I think one of the first games I played on Game Pass, actually. So it's cool to see it come
Mm.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, Celeste is awesome. I bought Celeste, I believe, around the same time I played Hellblade because my brother was like, "Oh, these games focus on mental health. They're very like impactful," and I love both those games dearly. So if you haven't played Celeste, it's a beautiful story combined with some pretty good 2D platforming. It can get pretty challenging depending on how you play the game, but the other one here, I would say I've heard mixed things about Maquette. That's a puzzle game, but Toem, I actually have the platinum for on PS5. Sam,
Nice.
I really like Toem. That's a fantastic little game. It's probably like 4 or 5 ish hours long, depending, but it is very much a go take pictures and then you turn them in and they does give you like vague clues about like go find a picture over here, solve this little riddle and try to figure it out. Not hard at all, very enjoyable, beautiful art style, just a overall great little indie game.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see that one come to cloud. That sounds like a nice couch game where
Oh,
I'm
it'd be
just playing on my
perfect.
phone. Yeah, that sounds like a good time. That might be how I end up playing that. We'll see. Because it's not like it's a graphically like I need to have it on the 4K with HDR. Like I can play it
No.
on whatever. So
It's not even like there's barely any color in
I was gonna say, isn't it
it.
black and white, like
Yeah.
98% or more?
Yeah. So I think you're completely fine with cloud there. Like no nothing Twitch based reactions. So it's just a
Yeah.
relaxing little game. Put it on while you're watching TV. Enjoy it. But I've heard Venba is getting some buzz. It's like a cooking game, apparently, a short little cooking
Okay.
game. I don't
Never heard of it, but I'm
I
interested.
think I saw it at one of the indie showcases before, and I was like, okay, but I see some people excited for that. So that's all we got. Go check those out if you're interested. That's all the news for this week, Sam. But we have some viewer questions, so why don't we jump into those? So Taylor writes in, just like you can if you are on Twitter at Save Game Media or join our Discord. He says, first time Gears of War player incoming here at some point in the near future after I finish Final Fantasy 16. Any tips before I start Gears 1 Ultimate Edition?
Ooh, Gears of War Ultimate Edition. Any tips? So you're coming off of Final Fantasy 16. Cleanse the palate because there's no similarities there at all except for like big ass monsters, I guess. That's pretty much it. Um, I mean, go in just expecting like a gritty war shooter with aliens. I think that's all you can really expect. Uh I think that the movement of Gears of War, you should take some time to get used to it because it is
Hmm.
kind of I don't want to say it feels like an on the rail shooter sometimes, but when you start sprinting and you just kind of like lean to the side and you follow this little curvature of Marcus Phoenix and you're just kind of like it's unlike any other game that I've really played. So go in with an open mind. If you like the military shooter kind of thing, you're probably going to be right at home with it.
Yeah, I would echo your sentiments there. Do not expect fluid movement. Like you're not going to be jumping around. It's not a Halo-esque game. Like you are when you start sprinting, you're going to tuck down. You're just going to get zoomed in, and you're going to sprint almost in a straight line. So be prepared for that. Use your cover. It's a cover based shooter. Don't just stand out in the open. You're not as invincible as you probably think you are, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties. Get used to the grenades because you have to get used to that arc that you throw them at. It is a very unique game. One I love. I love Gears of War. I've loved every Gears of War game that has come out. 5 is probably my least favorite. I know that's probably controversial, but uh I really enjoy these games. They all kind of follow a similar, like they haven't iterated that much throughout the years. Like if you played Gears 1 and enjoy it, you're probably gonna like Gears 2, Gears 3, Gears 4, Gears 5. So I'm looking forward to hearing how you get on with it. But I think it still holds up as long as you can get used to that movement.
Oh yeah, it totally holds up well. Also, if you play multiplayer, just be prepared to find a shotgun, equip a shotgun, and barrel
Hmm.
stuff that thing as soon as you get into the lobby because that's all it is, aside from like the occasional sniper across the map.
I might have told this story before, but Gears of War 1 was my first ever online game, like Xbox Live game from the
Yeah.
360. And I killed someone with a shotgun. And then the dude sent me an Xbox Live message. And I being the whatever 12-year-old I was, I opened it. It was a picture of his testicles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yep. I killed him and I got a picture of his testicles.
I
And I
mean,
was like,
that's
I don't know if
basically that
If
is that a
this
real life?
online, yeah, that was a really, I don't know if this online gaming thing is for me at that point, but
Yeah, yeah, I might have to put the sticks down for a minute there and just reflect a little bit. But anyways, enjoy Gears of War.
William Outbreak writes in, he says, when you decide to replay a game you've already completed, do you rewatch all the cutscenes again like you're watching them for the first time, or do you skip them to get to the gamey part?
I rarely replay games. I don't think I
Hmm.
ever really replay games. Once a story is done, I'm kind of done with it. And of course, replay like I've replayed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater like 7 times at this point. But for like gamey games specifically, I typically watch everything all the way through. I think that I started a second playthrough of The Last of Us Part Two, but it was mainly to go back and get some of the like collectibles and hidden things in the levels. So I think I watch the cutscenes if they're worth watching. If it's something really cinematic that I like. It's kind of like watching The Office over again, where I'll skip some episodes here and there, but then there are some that I really want to get dialed into. So that's probably how I approach it.
I really don't replay games either. I like to experience new things. I played 91 games last year, right? Like I beat 91 games. I'm approaching 40 for this year, so I'm not quite at the same pace, but I like that beat it and go to a new experience and see what else is out there because there's so many games out there, so like good games, bad games, like so many new experiences we can have. I have replayed games in the past, like Tales of Symphonia is my favorite game of all time. I played that probably, I don't know, 16 times as a kid, and I've played it a few times as an adult. I own it on everything that I possibly have. You can't skip cutscenes in that one, to be honest, but I
Mm,
know them like verbatim at this point. So it's kind of just like an enjoyable thing. Like, I'm going to say the lines along with it. Let's go.
yeah.
But most of the time, like if I'm replaying, so like Halo Infinite, I replayed that on easy mode to get that like beat it in under 4 hours or whatever achievement was. I skipped all the cutscenes in that because I
Yeah.
was like, I just watched this. I'm just doing a speed run. I don't need to see all this again. So it really depends, but most of the time I'm not replaying a game.
Yeah, I think that you bring up a point about the nostalgia too, where I replayed Halo 1 and Halo 2 multiple different times, Halo 3 as well. And so I'll rewatch them because those cutscenes like bring me back. I enjoy
Hmm.
hearing all the classic lines and stuff, giving the Covenant back their bomb. Like I can't skip that. That's a part of life itself. So I think nostalgia, if it's something I really, really love, then I'll rewatch it. But if I'm just playing something like you did Infinite for the achievement, then nah, I'll skip through all that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it does depend on like what the time. Like if this has been years and years, then I think it's probably okay. But if I just did it, I don't really want to watch
Hmm.
them again.
Yeah,
Like when I
totally.
replayed the Crash Insane trilogy or whatever, like I watched all that. I was like, I haven't played these games in literally 20 years, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna watch everything that they got to show me. But last question comes from It's Kyle writes, what are some lesser known ABK IPs that you're interested in trying when they come to Game Pass?
So for me, I actually picked one of these up at the Southeast Game Exchange last week to play on the 360, and that's Singularity.
Hmm.
It's kind of like the time based shooter, and I've played the first 30 minutes or so. It was really late when I started it a couple of nights ago, but it's not backwards compatible to my knowledge, so that's unfortunate. But I would love to see it come back. But it is one that I would love to dive into, and so I'm going to be checking that out myself here firsthand. But looking at the list of them over here on the other screen, just picking out what I would love to get back into. I think that um, if anything came to Game Pass, I mean, if we're talking about anything that came to Game Pass, I never actually played Prototype. So I
Mm.
would, as an infamous fan, love to go back and play some Prototype and get some of that classic action game feel myself.
You know what? I had to look this up. I was like, what Activision IPs do they own? All right. And apparently, uh, they own Tenchu, and I was like, "Is that true?" I googled it, and that's what the list says. So, I would love that if they do own that because that's an awesome. Activision purchased the rights from Sony, so apparently they do own it. Yeah, Tenchu. Give me a Tenchu game. That's an action stealth video game. Feudal Japan. You're a ninja. I love those type of games. I know Origami was one that I really had a
Hmm.
great time with, especially co-op. And we don't get enough stealth games these days. I'm very much in the camp like that's a genre we need to love and appreciate a lot more. So Tenchu is my pick for that one.
Nice, very good pick. It's good stuff.
Sam, that's all we got for this week. Little tight show, but had a good time. How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Yeah, I'm excited for what comes ahead. Obviously, we talked about the ABK stuff a little bit, but new deadline October the 18th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So whether we're talking about it for 2 more weeks, 1 more week, or 2 more months, whatever we've got, looking forward to that being at the end, so we can get back to what really matters: bickering about our favorite consoles and not having to involve the FTC. So yeah, it'll be nice.
Last question. Do you think Sarah Bond is teasing Elden Ring on Game Pass?
I saw that earlier. She tweeted out a literal image of Elden Ring at
I
this point.
know.
I don't know how to read that, but potentially, I just don't know if I could see them doing it. Like, I don't know if I could see from it's FromSoft, right?
Yeah,
I'm not. Yeah,
yeah. But
I
I'm
don't know
just
if I could
like,
see them. I don't think so.
I
I
have a
don't
hard
think.
time believing it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's almost a too good to be true kind of situation. I think.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. It'd be an August one, so stay tuned in the next 2 weeks, probably, where we might have confirmation if that is what she's teasing. But Sam, thanks for hanging with me? Where can people find you if they want to hear more from you?
You can find me JamPackSam on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, making content throughout the week. And of course, being right here on Project XTalk with you every single week, my friend. Happy to be here and looking forward to doing much, much more.
Absolutely, having a great time. And everyone, go check out Sam's other podcast, the Jam Pack Report. I watched it last week. Great episode, Sam. I
Appreciate it.
appreciate
Yeah.
you breaking down the indie games from the ID showcase. That was a good time. You can find me over at the Muffin Mon on Twitter. That's a 1-7 I own 7A. Follow us at Save Game Media. Get those reviews in, people, for the Starfield giveaway. But until next week, we'll see you. Goodbye.